I'll remind people if they want to make a comment on the items scheduled on today's agenda to please fill out a card and turn it up front here, the clerk, and also if you want to speak on general public comment, you also need to fill out a card to speak to issues that are not on the agenda but that are relevant to this committee. So with that, I don't see any public comment cards before me unless there's any questions from members of the committee on items 1 or 2. We'll go ahead and pass those on consent. Okay, seeing no questions from the committee on items 1 and 2, those 2 items will be approved on consent. Next, I'd like to go to William. What items are you here to present on?
Good afternoon, Council. On items number 9 and 10, it's the Cox
Okay.
and Verizon.
Okay, we'll hear items 9 and 10 together at this time.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon,
Oh,
Council.
hold on, let her announce.
I'll just read it into the record. Item number 9 is an Information Technology Agency report relative to Verizon's Hallmark channel change and rate adjustment. And number 10 is an ITA report relative to the new channel launch by Cox Communications.
Yes, thank you. With regard to the Verizon notice that was provided to the City of Los Angeles by Verizon, they have taken some rate adjustments from their current rate to their new subscribers, but not their old subscribers. They've taken a new rate adjustment of $49.99 from $34.99 and have added the Hallmark channel to their lineup, their FiOS lineup. That's with regard to Verizon. With regard to Cox, they've taken a whole new approach with regard to their channel lineup on their HD listings, which is high definition. And there are over 46 channels that were affected, and they took that sometime in March. That is the essence of today's report.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions from the committee on items 9 and 10? Seeing none, is there anybody here to make public comment on items 9 or 10, or both? Seeing and hearing no one come forward and no public comment cards before me, we'll note and file the ITA report on items 9 and 10.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we will go to item number 3.
And item number 3 is a verbal report from the Los Angeles Police Department and the Bureau of Engineering relative to a status update regarding the Police Administration Building.
Good afternoon, Gary Moore, City Engineer with the Bureau of Engineering, joined with...
Julie Sauter, Bureau of Engineering.
We don't see our friends here yet from Los Angeles Police Department, so we'll give you an update to what we are aware of. The building, it's our understanding now, is about 50% occupied. Over 1,000 people have actually moved into the Police Administration Building. And it's also, this morning, the Police Department, the Police Commission held their first meeting in the new building also. We're finishing up the final minor items here, and we'll be done with that in November. And the final moves for the police department are scheduled to be completed by mid-December. We continue to be within budget on delivering this project here and expect to finish actually under budget for this particular project. And the other project that is associated with this is the Main Street Parking Motor Transport Division, and Los Angeles Police Department actually vacated their prior home behind Parker Center and have moved into the new facility, parking structures in operation. And where the existing motor transport division, we're starting construction now of the IESO Street parking, and this will be a public parking lot. And that's a very brief update of the status of the Police Administration Building, except to say Los Angeles Police Department is having a grand opening celebration this coming Saturday at 10 a.m. scheduled.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you'd like to add? No? Okay. Ms. Perry?
Just a quick question, and I just need to know for reasons that will become clear in a few days. On the installation of the artwork on the Spring Street side, was that paid for out of the 1% arts fee?
That is correct.
Okay. And then how did you select that artist? Was it put up for RFP and then responses there too, and selection committee, or how was that done?
The Cultural Affairs Department actually leads that effort,
Okay.
and there were 6 members that were on the panel that selected the artist, right, Julie?
I believe it was 6.
Six members.
Okay.
But the Cultural Affairs Department was the one who.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything you'd like to let this committee know about lessons learned on this particular project? It's one of the bigger projects we've done recently, and obviously somewhat complicated, the specialized building in some respects.
It's a very complex building. I would agree with you. I think the lessons learned is an extremely high involvement from all of us in the executive team. We had myself, I've been on the project since it began, but I think in the last 3 years I've been involved every day as we've moved into construction. So a very high involvement. The other thing I want to compliment, though, is the city departments. We set up there was a monthly meeting where we all got together, and that proved extremely valuable in seeing the completion date here. And the departments really pulled together, recognizing it is a signature facility for all of Los Angeles. And so I think that was a big lessons learned. Also, whenever during the middle of this construction project, we went through an audit. There's always a few lessons learned from that, which we've implemented throughout the Bureau. But I think the biggest lesson learned here is we went through an extremely run-up in construction costs while we went out to bid here, and that was an extreme challenge. We received 1 bid on this building, where projects now we're seeing 20. So it's even stronger control over cost estimating during the entire project, and so those are some of the lessons learned here. And we're going to be doing a memo at the end of this project capturing all the lessons learned so that we move it forward on the next, because we're considering right now on Parker Center, we'll be starting an EIR and the potential there of a new building, and so whether we keep the existing building or move to a new retrofit the existing or build a new building, we'll incorporate those lessons learned.
Okay. When it comes to the Metropolitan Detention Center, what's the status of that?
The project is done from the Public Works point of view. It's now been transitioned over to the Los Angeles Police Department to ready it for their use. But we finished all the physical construction of this. It's about twice the size of the existing jail, and also the existing jail, I know, does not have any female inmates, and the new Metro Detention Center actually is capable of housing both male and female.
Thank you.
This is a LEED certified building?
The Police Administration Building, we expect to receive LEED Gold, actually. The City Council had authorized us to go to LEED Silver, but we believe we've secured all the points. We're just waiting for we'll be receiving the feedback here at the beginning of the year from the United States Green Building Council on the gold, but we're very confident that we're going to obtain gold.
Okay, good. Who's going to be maintaining the building? GSD?
General Services Department.
Okay, I have a question for GSD. I don't know if, Gary, if you know any elements to the answer to this question, but on a LEED certified building, that means it was built a certain way, and also I think to get LEED certification, we have certain practices of maintaining buildings that are certified in that manner. Is there any increase in cost or any added responsibilities on behalf of the city going forward when it comes to, be it maintaining the structure, be it maintaining just general maintenance of use?
Reginald Jones Sawyer, General Services. Yes, I believe there's quite a few things that we need to do to make sure that we're able to keep what I'm now hearing the gold standard of LEED. Obviously, with the extreme budget cuts and the fiscal problems that we've had in the past, and most recently, I think it's clear that it's going to be a very big challenge being able to keep up to that LEED standard. And if we don't receive the resources that we need to maintain it, I'm not sure how long we'll be able to continue to hold on to that level of maintenance.
Okay. What I'd like is a report back from the Department of General Services on the differential costs and/or elements required to maintaining LEED certified buildings such as this one, especially a building of this magnitude versus a building of this magnitude that does not have that element or requirement.
Well, yes, we'll take care of that.
Okay. All right. When it comes to the construction, was there any increased cost in construction to achieve a LEED standard of silver, but in this case, gold?
Yes, there was. Julie, you want to highlight some of the items we added for silver?
When we went from a LEED certified to LEED silver, which was approved to council, a few of the key items that we did was, actually it should be cost savings for the operation of the building, which is measurement and verification. So we go into the building and we're able to use with a program to monitor the efficiency of the building. So there's a program called the Eman Demon that actually trends the operation of the water
What's it called?
consumption. Eman Demon, that's the name of the software that we're implementing, or we did implement, to monitor the operations of the building. And from there, they're able to track and trend the energy consumption, water consumption, and that way GSD can look into see how they can optimize the energy consumption of the building. I think that was the biggest part of the LEED certification. Some of the other items were parking, our bike racks. This is to achieve LEED silver, more carpooling spaces available, some walk-off grates, so as you walk into the building, you create a clean environment. So those were the three key things that I remember off the top of my head that took us to LEED silver.
Gary, how about when it comes to material, hard cost material, thickness of walls, kind of glass you use, the roofing materials, things of that nature?
All of those items that you just mentioned, those did not change going from LEED to LEED silver. We had already incorporated, the low E glass, double pane windows, that type of throughout the facility. So as far as energy efficiency on that, those were already incorporated.
High content, recycled content material was already built into the LEED certified base level.
Is there any element of that affected what kind of concrete we ended up using? Or the source of, or recycled concrete, or?
I remember, I have to go back and double check, but there is a mix in the concrete. They do require certain percentages of the type of mix that they use and what kind of additives they are to meet the criteria for LEED.
One of it is usually fly ash.
Fly ash.
Fly ash that we use. One of the other things on LEED points that you get is getting materials manufactured within 500 miles. So those types of things, we concentrated on those. And also, during construction, recycling of waste, and that ongoing during construction also. So Tudor Saliba was definitely part of this during the construction also.
Yeah, because we sad to have some materials shipped all the way from China on those dirty ships that spew out all that dirty diesel just to get a particular standard of LEED in the building. Okay, so all of those elements were taken into account,
Absolutely.
not only the physical elements, but things such as transport, distance, things of that nature. So taking into account the carbon footprint in the process of building the building, not only what the kind of energy and consumption or reduction will achieve on an ongoing basis.
That's correct. And I know one of the LEED points is for proximity to public transportation. Obviously, this building is in the heart of public transportation.
Okay. All right. Well, good job to Bureau of Engineering, LAPD, wherever you are, and CAO, thank you very much. Is there anybody here for item number 3 to make public comment on item number 3? We have public comment open on item number 3. I do not see any public comment cards filled out for item number 3. Seeing no one come forward on item number 3, public comment is now closed. With that, we'll note and file the report.
Thank you.
We're now on item number 4.
And item number 4 is a motion, Han Parks, relative to transferring city-owned property at 115th Street and Imperial Highway from the Department of General Services to the Department of Rec and Parks for the purpose of developing into a pocket park.
Hi, good afternoon. Frank Hong with the Office of Councilwoman Janice Hahn. I just want to provide a little brief history on this piece of property. It's a remnant property from a 1990 highway project. It's sat vacant for many, many years. And in this portion of our district, up in our Watts, Southeast LA portion of our district, we don't have much open space, so we're very supportive of seeing this piece of property being transferred to Rec and Parks and being turned into a park. This is a great partnership with the neighborhood council, with our office, various departments, Rec and Parks, Bureau of Engineering, and General Services. And we ask that you move this forward in a positive manner today. And we have the departments here to comment on the land transfer, on some of the environmental conditions on the property as well. If you have any other further questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Okay, thank you. Well, to the departments that are here, what's the approximate size of the land?
Sid Makarai from the Department of Recreation and Parks. It's about 6,200 square feet. It's a small corner piece. It's the intent is to develop into a small pocket park.
Okay. So who's going to maintain the pocket park once it's built?
I believe the intent right now is the neighborhood council for this area was the one that secured the funds to be able to develop the site, and they have committed to maintaining the site.
Okay. All right. And then also, what are the next elements of responsibilities between GSD and Rec and Parks?
It's just the conveyance of the property over to Rec and Parks, because they will be the ones supervising and making sure that the park is maintained and kept up to a level that they feel is most appropriate.
Okay, so GSD's out of the picture once they convey it. Rec and Parks is the one that's expected to monitor it and make sure that the maintenance is occurring and it doesn't become a problem, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, what we intend to do is once council approves this transfer, our board will accept the property, and then it gets added to Rec and Parks inventory of park properties, and therefore we become ultimately responsible for this site.
And how many properties does Rec and Parks already have under its jurisdiction?
We have about over 440 facilities throughout the city and about 15,000 acres.
It's a lot of work.
Yes.
Any questions?
No, thanks, great.
Okay, so Rec and Parks will just absorb it and deal with it.
Well, part of the deal for us,
I don't remember us approving money for additional responsibilities to your department.
that is correct. As part of the deal, the neighborhood council has committed to maintaining the site, so therefore it's zero cost to us.
So there's some kind of cooperation agreement and keeping your fingers crossed that they're consistent with that?
That is correct.
Good luck.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on item number 4. Item number 4 is now open for public comment. Is anybody here to make comment on item number 4? Public comment is open on item number 4. Seeing no public comment cards filled out in front of me for item number 4. Nobody coming forward on item number 4. Public comment on item number 4 is now closed. With that, it's the action of this committee to adopt the motion. Thank you. We're now on item number 5.
Item number 5 is the report from the Department of General Services relative to a lease renewal for the Office of the Mayor's Washington, D.C. office.
Chuck Rubin, General Services. This is a renewal of a lease that began in 1991. It's for the lobbyists of the city, and it's a lease with the National League of Cities. It's a 3-year renewal at a set rate that does not increase over the 3 years, and General Services recommends approval of this lease.
Okay, so parking costs $275 a month per parking space, huh?
Correct.
They have a program for public transportation?
Go ahead.
Do they have a program there for incentives for public transportation?
I'm not aware of.
I don't know if that's what DC is like, is it? I don't know much about the DC market. Is that pretty typical of the cost of a parking space there?
Yes. Washington's quite expensive.
They have, what's their transit system called there? It's, not the name of it.
I've seen it.
I can't think of the name of their transit system there. Is it Metro? Yeah. I'd just be interested to know if they're, and you can just tell me on the council floor whether or not.
We
there's
we
ever
can
been-
certainly find out for you.
Yeah, whether or not there's ever been any
Yeah.
effort to, create an incentive program for the employees that are there, since we do that here. Similar to what we do here.
Right.
Yeah.
Just for the record, this is in the building of the National League of Cities, and so there's a lot of synergy of being with
Right.
representatives from.
Oh, no doubt about it. I just, just asking you. They're still city employees, right?
Mhm.
Good point. Okay, so you'll report that when we get to council? Okay, thank you. See no more questions from the committee. We're on item number 5. Public comment on item number 5 is open. Anybody here to make public comment on item number 5? I do not see any public comment cards before me for item number 5. Seeing no one come forward, item number 5, public comment is now closed. With that is the action of this committee to approve the GSD report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6 will be continued to our November 3rd meeting. So we now move to item number 7.
And item number 7 is another report from the Department of General Services for a new lease for office space for the Office of Finance.
Chuck Rubin, General Services. The Department of General Services is requesting approval of a new lease at 1200 West 7th Street for the Office of Finance, Tax and Permit Division Field Office. The new space is a much better location for access to both freeways and to Office of Finance Management in City Hall. With a very large floor plate, 85% of the staff will be located on one floor, improving communication, productivity, and supervision, and hopefully increased revenue for the city. The sub-landlord has provided an adequate tenant improvement allowance whereby this move can be accomplished with no expense to the city. Further, there is a total first-year savings to the city's leasing account of about $125,000. At this time, GSD would like to request approval of the following 2 technical corrections to its report. The first is that the lease term will commence April 1st, 2010, instead of March 1st, 2010. And secondly, the initial period rental rate has been reduced to $1.67 per rentable square foot from $1.75 per square foot. And this means an additional $45,000 savings in year 1 and $25,000 additional savings in year 2 over the fiscal 08-09 budget for this lease. We have a representative of Office of Finance Management and also our broker from CB Richard Ellis, if you have any questions you'd like to direct to them.
Okay. It says tenant improvements are going to be covered by the sub-landlord?
Correct.
So somebody had a lease on this, and we are subleasing it from them?
Yes, Charter Holdings, which is a division of Wells Fargo, actually holds the master lease. They don't own it, but they lease the entire building for a 10-year block of time. And so they are the sub-landlord from whom we lease.
Okay.
And that's the setup with CDD and housing as well.
questions?
That's fine.
Okay. Seeing no more questions from the committee, we're on item number 7. Public comment on item number 7 is now open. I see no public comment cards before me on item number 7. Is there anybody here to make public comment on item number 7? Seeing and hearing no one come forward on item number 7 for public comment. Public comment is now closed on item number 7. With that, it is the action of this committee to approve the GSD report. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for clarification, the committee approves the technical amendments made at the
Yes,
table?
with the technical.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Item number 8.
Item number 8 is a motion, Reyes Rosenthal, and a Community Development Department report relative to amendment to a lease agreement with the Central City Neighborhood Partners for city-owned property on South Bixel Street.
Come forward.
Good afternoon, Manny Chavez with the Community Development Department. In June of this year, this item came before this committee and a report back was requested from the council office as well as CDD in coordination with General Services. The issue was whether to proceed with execution of the lease with Central City Neighborhood Partners, which is a nonprofit occupying a city facility at 5th and Bixel Streets. The concern raised by this committee was whether to proceed with execution of this lease at the $1 a year standard rate that has been in existence for a few years. We were instructed to report back how the costs of repairs would be covered at that facility given the financial condition of the nonprofit. The report back that we sent to you identified approximately $1.2 million in CDBG resources that the department is willing to commit a portion of to cover the costs of the repairs to that facility. CDD is also going through a process of reorganization where we are putting our staff out into the field. We are proposing to have between 10 and 13 of our staff actually co-located with the nonprofit at this site. Nonprofit was recently selected to serve as a family source center for the city. And we also have the UCLA One Source programs for youth co-located at this site.
Okay. So what's the current status between the lease agreement talks with the various parties?
The nonprofit is awaiting word from the city on executing the lease. My understanding is that they have reached agreement on the terms and are simply waiting to proceed.
And the main issue was the maintenance?
Correct.
And how to identify realistic resources for those purposes?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, who took the lead with the not-for-profit? Was it CDD or GSD?
It was CDD that initiated the discussions way back, I believe, in 2000, 2001 with Council District 1 that was interested in a permanent presence for the nonprofit in the community. And GSD took over in terms of the purchase of the facility and the ultimate renovation of it at the time.
So at this time, it appears that the appropriate preparations have all been met?
Yeah, yes, they have. And again, we're prepared to move forward with the necessary repairs to the facility.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody here from Council District 1? No? Okay. Okay. Anybody here to make public comment on item number 8? Seeing and hearing no one come forward on item number 8 for public comment. There are no public comment cards before me. Public comment is now closed on item number 8. Okay, we'll note and file the CDD report. Thank you. We took care of item number 9 and 10 earlier on the agenda, so now we move to item number 11.
And would you like to take items number 11 and 12 together?
Yes, please.
And these items are a report from the Board of Public Works and a Chief Legislative Analyst report relative to H.R. 2093, Poloni, and S. 878, Lautenberg, regarding the Clean Coastal Environment and Public Health Act of 2009.
Charles Modica from the Chief Legislative Analyst Office. I'm also here represented with staff from the Bureau of Sanitation. Our office and sanitation both recommend support of H.R. 2093 and S. 878. These bills are companion federal House and Senate bills that would extend the Beaches Environmental Assessment and Coastal Health Act, or the BEACH Act for short. This act was designed to reduce the risk of illness in coastal recreational waters, and it requires local governments to develop monitoring and treatment programs for water pollution control in those waters. The act also provides funding to local governments to maintain those programs. The two bills are currently pending in the federal Senate. H.R. 2093 passed out of the House at the end of July, and right now they are slightly different. H.R. 2093 would extend the BEACH Act through 2014 and would provide $40 million annually on a grant basis to be distributed to local governments, whereas Senate Bill 878 would extend the BEACH Act through 2013, so 1 year less, but would provide $60 million annually for those same grant programs. Each bill also does require a monitoring communication requirement, so that if there's an exceedance in pollution in a local water body, local governments are required to communicate with EPA within a specified amount of time and initiate procedures for closing off a beach or if there are any health problems there. H.R. 2093 would require that communication to occur within 2 hours of receiving a negative monitoring report, whereas Senate Bill 878 would require communication within 6 hours. And we'd like to open it up for questions at this point.
Okay. Thank you. And the current reporting requirement is how many hours?
The current reporting requirement is within 24 hours after receiving the test. One of the big, pluses in this bill is that there's an appropriations component for rapid bacteriological testing, and that's going to get us results within 6 hours of a release, so that we can actually get in there and protect the public prior or very soon with relationship to the spill actually occurring. Our current process takes anywhere from 24 to 48 hours to get the results back, and then post and monitor for when the beaches are safe to be used again.
And this expediting the response time, is that due to technology, or?
It's mostly through the technology, absolutely. Without this tool, we're fighting the curve. It takes several days to culture the bacteria to determine whether or not we have an impairment. By that time, we've already had an exposure to the public, and this is going to give us a nice tool to get up front on those.
Currently, the way the bill's written, it provides a timeline that's going to ratchet down the reporting time to 2 hours. It won't automatically go to 2 hours. The technology is not there yet, and the funding is to help develop the technology and also develop reporting for this. Additionally, this technology will be able to be used not just at beaches but also in inland waters, so it can be used on rivers and lakes, which we're doing more and more analysis of these days.
All right. Sooner or later, they'll have wetsuits that change color when the bacteria is too high. Surfers can get out of there. Any questions?
No, it's good.
Or bathing suits. Swim trunks, whatever people call them. All right. No more questions from the committee. Is there anybody here to make public comment on items number 11 and 12? I don't see any public comment cards on items 11 or 12. 11 or 12 are before us at this moment. Seeing no cards before me and no one coming forward to make public comment on items 11 and or 12, public comment on items 11 and 12 are now closed. So with that, the committee adopts the attached resolutions that would include in the city's 2009-2010 federal legislative program to support for the support of H.R. 2093 and Senate Bill 78, which extend funding for the Beach Act of 2000 and increase grant funding available from that act. Okay, thank you. Okay, next we go to item 13. No, 12. Yeah, 13, yeah.
And item number 13 is the CLA report relative to the city's position on AB 52, Portantino, the umbilical cord blood collection program pursuant to Resolution Parks Lavange.
Good afternoon, John Wickham with the Office of the Chief Legislative Analyst. Resolution Parks Lavange recommends that the city support AB 52 Portantino, which would extend the establishment date of the umbilical cord blood collection program from January 1, 2010 to January 1, 2011. AB 52 also sets objectives for the program to meet, such as establishing criteria for determining which units of cord blood may be used for research versus transplantation, creating collection targets for ethnically diverse groups based on identified deficiencies in inventories, and creating a public awareness campaign. The state has received an initial grant of $500,000 from the federal government to implement this program, but due to the state budget crisis, the state funds are not currently available to get it going. So the bill includes a fee increase on birth certificates from $7 to $9, of which $2 would be deposited into the existing umbilical cord blood collection program for purposes of implementing the program. This fee is expected to raise about $3 million annually. In addition, a new organization called Cord Blood California has been formed to help raise funds to support this program. So once everything is going, there's going to be a source of state funds, federal funds, and private funds, and it's expected that the federal government will provide more money once this gets established. According to the Assemblyman's office, AB 52 is currently in the Senate Health Committee, and the bill has bipartisan support, both in terms of co-authors and votes. The bill did not move to the full Senate, however, as the author is concerned that the program be placed in the right state agency. The idea was currently, or as the bill was written, that it go to the Department of Public Health, but that program has had a lot of severe funding cuts. There are over 300 programs in there. Everything's being redrawn and switched around, reorganized, and they're concerned that if they start this now, it'll get lost. So they're using this time over the next few months to identify the right agency for this program to make sure that it gets going. There is no registered opposition to the bill. There's substantial support across the state from California Medical Association, California Hospitals Association, Nurses Association, et cetera. And the author's office is concerned that this is a very important program, not just for California, but nationally and even internationally, to make sure that the blood cord bank represents diverse communities. In California is an important link in that to make sure that communities that are not currently represented are participating in the program. So the CLA report recommends that the council support this bill.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. The only thing I'm worried about is the mental health initiative. We want this dedicated source. Took the money to help balance the state budget. I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea. I'll vote for this support resolution, but just something to note down the road.
Yeah, hopefully the language has strong protections to make sure it can't be raided. Yeah, good point. Okay. Is there anybody here to make public comment on item number 13? We are currently on item number 13, and public comment period is open. I see no public comment cards filled out on item number 13. No one coming forward. Public comment on item number 13 is now closed. With that, it is the action of this committee to adopt this resolution in support of AB 52. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we will announce closed session on items 14 and 15. Is there anybody here to make public comment on items 14 and 15? We'll open that public comment as soon as it's announced.
Item number 14, the committee is recessing into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A in order to confer with legal counsel on the case entitled Mario Patrick versus City of Los Angeles.
Okay. Anybody here for public comment on item 14 and 15? Seeing, hearing none, public comment on item number 14 and 15 are now closed. Nobody came forward or filled out a public comment card for those two items. Now we'll go into closed session. Just came back from closed session on items 14 and 15. So with that, we will now go to general public comment. We have concluded the items as scheduled under this agenda, so now we're at general public comment. Is there anybody here to make general public comment to this committee? I do not see any public comment cards here for general public comment to this committee. General public comment is now closed. This committee is now adjourned.